All right, today I'm going to talk about interval and roster notation. These are the problems that I'd like you to be able to do by the end. So go ahead and write those down. Interval notation is showing us from one point to the other. So interval notation, what I'm going to use it for is when I have inequalities. So I use this for inequalities, which they both start with an I, so that kind of helps me remember it. But what I'm doing is, if I have something like x is greater than 5, that's an inequality, so I want to use interval notation. The way that I show that x is greater than 5 is I'm going to go from the smallest value to the largest value. And we put a comma in between, okay? Now I'm going to enclose this. If this is a less than or greater than, I'm going to enclose it with just a parentheses. If it's a less than or equal to, or a greater than or equal to, I'm going to enclose it with a brace, and the brace is more square. So this one tells me that it's greater than 5. So I'm going to go, that's the smallest value because it's greater than that. I'm going to go from 5 to, well, if it's every number greater than that, it's going to go all the way to infinity. Now this value right here shows me that it's not included because it doesn't say or equals to. So that means that x cannot be 5, but x can be 5.1. So it's greater than that. It's not that number, it's everything greater than that. And so I show that by putting the parentheses. So that shows that the 5 is not included. Infinity, it's not actually a number, it's a concept, and so concepts are never included, so I'm also going to put a parentheses on that one. So when I look at this, what this is telling me is that x is every value from 5 to infinity. 5 is not included, infinity is not included, and that's what it's showing me right here, okay? So just showing you another example, this shows me that x is every number from 6 to 10. 6 is included and 10 is not included. So that's how we would want to read these out, okay? Sometimes on our interval notation, we'll get negative infinity as well. So we want to know how to write negative infinity. So the way that I write negative infinity is the reason I would write it is if I had x is less than 5. So this is now the largest number, and that it's every number below that, so it's going to go from negative infinity to 5. All right? Again, negative infinity is a concept. It cannot be included, so it gets a parentheses. 5 is not included because it's not or equals to, so it also gets a parentheses. So I read this as every number from negative infinity to 5. Negative infinity is not included. 5 is not included. Okay? And that's interval notation. So interval shows me where it starts and where it ends, if its start is included, and if its end is included. All right? So that's interval notation. Roster notation is everything that's that's included in the list. Roster notation I like to use when we're talking about one answer or two answers or three answers, just a couple of answers. So if I just have a couple of answers, so if I'm solving a problem and I get x equals 6, I'm going to put that in roster notation because using interval notation doesn't really make sense. Interval notation would say it goes from 6 to 6, 6 is included, and 6 is included, which is just a really weird way to say something. So you wouldn't want to use interval notation. We would want to use roster. And the way that we do that is we put, this is a set, and we're going to show everything that's inside of this set. So this is a set. I like to call them Batmans, just because to me that looks like a Batman symbol. So this is a set. What's inside the set? Well, our only answer is 6, so 6 goes inside of there. And that's how we do roster notation. Now sometimes we'll have more than one thing on the roster. So I'll have a problem, I solve it out, and it tells me x equals 4, x equals 6, x equals 11. So I have 3 things on the roster. When that happens, I just want to list them all. 4, 6, 11. And then close my set. And that's it. Every once in a while, there will be a pattern where it keeps on going forever. So like if it told me it was all odd integers, from 1 to 53, I don't want to write all those numbers out. So I can establish a pattern by writing the first 3. So the first 3 would be 1, and then 3, and then 5. Now I have a pattern established. This shows me that it's all the odd integers, okay? So now that I established a pattern, I can make an ellipses, which shows me that the pattern continues. This shows the pattern continues. And then I want to show where it ends, and it's going to end at 53, so I put 53 and close my set. And that's how we show a large roster of numbers, okay? And that's it.